Hi guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can tell by the title, this is a review of the Marco Square C800 coloured pencils. Cast your mind back a couple of reviews ago. I done a review of the Marco Square C820. That was a 24 set of the same pencils, just that 24 set was pastel tones. So not pastel pencils, just pastel tones. I said back then that I thought that set was a set best used as a complement set, not a set that you could use on your own. And as a result, I didn't do any artwork for it. But I said that when I came round to doing a review of the Marco Square C800, which is the same pencil, it's the C800, I believe, just refers to the fact that they're kind of like just differentiating between the fact that this is like a traditional set of colors, whereas this set here is the pastel tone set. You know the way some companies will come out and they'll have like a what do you call it, a portrait set. So it's that type of thing. Before we get into the review, I just want to mention something. And if you want to skip this part, there'll be a timestamp down below that you can skip it and just go straight into the review. But it is related somewhat to these pencils. So first thing I want to say is, over the last month, maybe 2 months, I've been I haven't really been myself. I've been in a lot of pain. I had a lot of other things going on. And I've just been under a lot of pressure and stress, just like all of you guys, I'm sure, are going through exactly the same type of stuff with your own day-to-day lives. As a result, I have occasionally been a little bit snappy, I think, when responding to certain comments on the channel, and for which I apologise. I'm sure some of you probably don't even think that I have been snappy, but I know others will think that I've been snappy, and I have, and I apologise for it. I always, when I first started this channel, I am a huge advocate of free speech. I think you should be allowed to say what you want, and I certainly never want to censor anybody's comments on this channel. So when comments are left, good, bad, and different, about me, about reviews or anything like that, I leave them there because it's important that the comments and the channel is balanced. If everything was all just good and wonderful and all the rest of it, it wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be right. So I always leave the comments. Only comments I have ever removed are comments that are directly insulting another person in the comment section, and I've never had to do that, so I've never actually removed a comment or anything like that. But that would be the only reason I would remove a comment from my from any of the social media platforms that I put posts up on. Now, so what I'm talking about here is, what I'm referring to is a comment that was left on the Marco Tribute coloured pencils review that I done a couple of weeks ago. And when this person left a comment, I think I was far too quick and snappy in my reply. But about 3 years ago, I done a review of the Holbein Artist colour pencils, and it was for the other magazine that I used to write my reviews for. When the review went up into that magazine, I got word back from the magazine that Holbein US were potentially going to sue me. And the reason why they were going to sue me was because in that review, I failed to mention that the Holbein Artist colour pencils were not allowed to be sold in the US due to certain toxicity laws that are held within the US that the Holbein pencils themselves did not meet, which was the reason why those pencils were not allowed to be sold in the US. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time, and had Holbein US. Now, I keep stipulating here Holben US, because Holben Japan actually got hold of Holben US and told them to wise up and stop being stupid. But the Holben US, rather than just saying to me, listen, you need to add this little bit into the review, I'd have done it straight away. And I did amend the review immediately in any case as soon as I heard that, because it is important information. But it was information that I didn't know. And I had been corresponding with Holben Japan all the way through my review, and was never told anything like that. So that was the reason why Holben Japan got involved and put a stop to it immediately. But nevertheless, it frightened me at the time, and it worried me. Now, a comment was placed on the Marco Tribute review the other day saying that the Marco Tribute and the Marco Renoir pencils are exactly the same pencil, just repackaged. Now, that worried me because of what happened with the Holben thing. And, you know, I am all for people having their own opinion. If you have an opinion that a certain pencil is identical to another pencil, that's one thing. But to come out and say, this is how I thought at the time, to come out and say that they're definitely the same pencil, that's a completely different thing. And it's a thing that, had the company have been guilty of that, well, that's a huge thing, because the company would be essentially stealing from people, because they'd be, you know, putting one, not letting anybody know, selling two different types of packaging but the same pencil in it. And it's illegal to do that, to the best of my knowledge, without having any advertising stating that. You know, obviously if you put them both this, you know, the same pencil out and say, like what Caran d'Ache did with the Super Colour Soft, and then they brought out a set that was like the anniversary set, that's a different thing. But that wasn't what was being that's not what I picked up in this comment. And so I had said in the comment, I replied to the comment and I said, listen, do you what proof do you have of this? Because that's a bold claim to make. And the person that just said, well, because I own both sets, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the same pencil package. Now, when I done my review of the tribute, the Marco Tribute, and I was obviously in contact with Marco, but I never asked them that question. I didn't say, first of all, it didn't cross my mind that they were exactly the same pencil. And I think to ask all these questions, and then to, at the end of that list of questions, turn around and say to a company, oh, by the way, this pencil that you're selling as the Marco Tribute, is that the exact same pencil as the Marco Renoir? So in other words, are you you know, pulling the wool over your customers' eyes? So I didn't ask that the first time round, but after having this back and forth with this person that left a comment, I thought to myself, if this person is right, I want to find out, and I want to, at the very least, be able to come back and confront Marco about this and say to them, is this the case? Give them the chance to tell me one way or the other whether it was. So I contacted them, and they had said to me categorically, they're not the same pencil. They are both similar, because as far as they're concerned, they're both oil-based pencils. You guys know how I feel about oil and wax, but oil is the predominant ingredient in both pencils. But they're not the same pencil. So all I can do is take Marco's word for that. But I just wanted to get that out there in case other people had seen that comment and started wondering, are these the same pencils? And if they are, why is Harry not doing X, Y, and Z? Why is he not letting us know? Is there something he knows about these and he's not telling us? So the answer is no. I never crossed my mind, but when this person left the comment, I thought it was my duty as a reviewer to make sure that I honed in on that and got a definitive answer. And that's what the definitive answer from Marco was. Whether it's the truth or not, I don't know. I'm not in the business of setting up companies with lie detector tests. But all I can do is tell you what they told me. Now, on with the review. So, like I say, this is the Marco Square C800. So, it's the same pencil as the pastel one, only just traditional colours. Now, I will have information over on the written review as to the different set sizes, but 48 is the largest set that they have. But when you take into consideration that they have this 24 set as well, you're talking a total of 72 colours combined when you put them in. So, as you can see here, it's just an ordinary tin. Nothing really much on the back of the tin or anything like that. On opening the tin, it's not a hinged tin. It's you just lift the lid right off. When you get the pencils, you have this kind of swatch already in there for you. The colours have got the numbers above them and the pigment name written in Chinese, but there's nothing on the back there as well. But it's always, like I say, I've always said, it's always a good idea to create your own swatch, because how they look on this printed out version, how the colours look, is not going to be the same as how the pencils will look when you create your own swatch on the paper of your choice. They will look a little bit different. But it's nice that they have them in there so that at a glance you can just see the colours that are available. Now, as you can see here with the top layer, the colour selection overall in this 48 set is not too bad. You can see here that on the right hand side as you're looking, there is like a little cheap plastic sharpener and an eraser. Both very low quality, but at least they're in there. Just on the very end here, you can see that they have also included a Marco Graphite HB pencil. Now, basically what that means is that there are not 48 coloured pencils in here, there are 47, and one of those, out of the 48, one is a graphite pencil and the other 47 are coloured pencils. I think it's a personal thing whether you like that idea or whether you don't. It's a little bit like when watercolour pencils come and they have like a little watercolour brush in the set. I think that makes a lot more sense than having a graphite pencil in a coloured pencil set. But I'm sure that there are people out there that might think this is a good idea, in which case absolutely fine. It's quite a lot of art products comes down to personal choice, personal preference, and so it's up to you whether that's the type of thing that you like. Like I say, the color selection overall is really nice, but I'll show you that properly in the swatch. The bottom layer here is the blues and the greens, a couple of greys at the end there, and then a gold and a silver. The pencils themselves, so they do have a square barrel, obviously. The barrels are all lacquered exactly the same color as the core, so immediately in terms of visual selection of the pencils, that should be easier for you. Some pencils just have a little pigment identifier on the end, but these ones have got the entire barrel as the pigment identifier. On the very end of the pencil here, it is uncapped, so therefore you can see the core. The core is exposed. I personally don't like pencils like this. I think they look a little bit cheap, but it is a little bit different with these square pencils. The good thing about the pencils being uncapped at the end is that you can see whether the cores are centralized or not. And for the most part, most of these 48 pencils that I have, in any case, the core is really quite central. Obviously, with the pencils being square, there's no rolling off the table, so that's a huge plus. Along one side of well, it's not really a barrel, is it? But the block, along one side of the block is Square C800, which is the pencil. Then it said on the very end here, Marco, along with the Marco logo. On the opposite side, we have the pigment name in English, and then the number that corresponds to it. Overall, the pencils feel nice in hand, well weighted. They're not. I don't personally like pencils that are really super light, that feel really cheap. I like a little bit of weight to them. These pencils are kind of like somewhere in the middle. So as you can see here, I've done a swatch of the 48 colors that are in that Marco set, and like I said, the selection is not too bad. I like the cream beige and the sand. I think they're really lovely colors, and the blush for portraiture, that type of stuff. I think the reds, they've got a nice selection of reds and oranges, the yellows, the browns. Overall, a nice selection. I think maybe with the blues, they maybe could have done a little bit better with the blues. I would have liked to have seen like an indigo blue in there, a much darker blue. But I think the Prussian blue is as dark as it gets, really. The greens, again, a nice selection of greens. And then one or two greys. And then we've got the gold and silver. We do have a black and a white pencil in there, but I'll get to the white pencil further on into the review. But as I was saying, these colours here, this 48 set, combined with the colours that are present in the 24, the Marco Square 24 pastel set, that complete package gives you a really, really nice palette to work with. And you know, the colours that are in this pastel set alone are pretty useless. They're just not dark enough to give you shadows and all the rest of it. But once you combine this with the 48 set, then it really does transform this palette and give you a lot more options. So I was really happy to discover that during my review of this and the artwork that I done. Now, I did have a little bit of trouble with the paper when I was using these pencils with the paper, and if I cast my mind back, I think it was the same when I did the pastel pencils. But given the fact that I didn't do any artwork, I didn't really spend too much time on the paper. So the paper will play a much bigger part in this review. So the swatch that I have completed with the Marco Square C800, which is this 48 set, I done that on Derwent watercolor paper, hot pressed. Now that's just the cheap watercolor paper, not their new light fast paper. So it's quite a smooth surface paper, and for the most part it was absolutely fine. But when I started the artwork, I also started the artwork on this paper as well, and I just couldn't really get layered properly on that. So I stopped and I done the artwork on a Bristol vellum. Now, the artwork isn't too bad, okay? It could be better, and the layering ability of these pencils could be a little bit better as well. But the core of the pencil is soft. It's kind of like it reminds me of, do you know when you're baking a cake and you've got your mixture, and it's at that kind of like glossy, emulsiony type consistency? The pencils kind of remind me a little bit like that whenever you're applying layers, and it gets to a certain point where the layers almost create like little blotches that are sticky and tacky and a little bit difficult to smooth out the rest of the area around it, if you understand what I mean. If not, I'll try to explain it to you in the test that I'm going to do. But nevertheless, this is the artwork that I did. Don't forget, I used all the colours, or not all the colours, but you know, I used both sets to accomplish this artwork. But this was done on Bristol vellum paper, like I say, Strathmore 300 series Bristol vellum, so a little bit more tooth than what was on the Derwent watercolor hot pressed paper. As you can see here, I have the usual test that I do. We've got the layer test, the blending test, and then we've just got the sphere down here at the bottom, which I'm going to do a live run of just adding a little bit of odorless mineral spirits to it. But as you can see here, so I will have images of this popping up on the screen, but as always, if you want to see more detail of what the pigment looks like on the paper, go across to the written review, where I'll have links, or sorry, not links, images of this also, where you can click on it and enlarge it. But you can see here with the layers, I did get the 5 layers. There wasn't really a huge issue, and the paper I used this time for this test was the Paint On, the Clairefontaine Paint On kind of mixed media paper. So again, slightly toothier, certainly more toothier than the Derwent, and probably similar or maybe a little bit more than the Bristol Vellum. But I was able to layer nicely here. When it did get to round about the 5 layer mark, there was, like I say, those little pockets. Because the pencils can be a little bit crumbly, you don't even have to have a really heavy hand or anything like that, but a medium pressure on the pencil will create a little bit of crumbling, and you just got to be careful that you don't, when you're applying layers, trap one of those little crumbly bits into the layers, because it will cause problems. The heavy applications here, you can see the pigment strength is really nice. The colors as well that I was able to select for these tests was just simply red, yellow, blue and green. That's how they're labeled on the pencils, so very, very easy. You can see here that they blended exceptionally well. You can see here with the yellow and the blue that I got a really gorgeous green. Same with the red and the yellow here, got a really nice orange, and with the purple here as well, with the red and blue, I got a really nice purple. So with regards to blending, that worked out really nice also. So I've just done this quick sphere here again, just so that people who are interested in seeing what the pencil's like with odorless mineral spirits, how the pigment breaks down. This is it. Just let me zoom in a little bit here for you so you can see it properly. Okay, so you can see here that, I mean, like, I haven't, when I done this layering, I didn't obviously burnish or anything like that, the final layer to get rid of the white grain of the paper. But I have applied a fair amount of layers here. Again, just using a selection of blues from the 48 set. But you can, hopefully you can see with the camera that the pigment, when the odorless mineral spirits, and the odorless mineral spirits I'm using is just zested, but once the zested hits the pigment, it seems to break it down really well. I'm no expert with odorless mineral spirits, so people who use odorless mineral spirits, artists who use this on a regular basis, this technique on a regular basis, will probably be able to leave in the comments what they think the results here are like, whether they think that the pigment breakdown is favorable or not. But it looks it to me, there doesn't seem to be any problems whatsoever. It certainly got rid of the grain. I mean, like, what you've got to also understand is that when you use odorless mineral spirits, one of the biggest reasons for doing, well, not the biggest reason, but a really advantageous reason for doing so is that once you apply the odorless mineral spirits to the pigment, the color pencil layers, what it does is it breaks those layers down, and in most cases kind of like reinvigorates the tooth of the paper, thus allowing you to continue applying lots and lots of different layers. So on this occasion here, I've used probably about 5 or 6 layers of different shades of blues to get that effect. So, and I was starting to, I could feel the tackiness and stuff like that coming into play at around about 5 or 6 layers. But now that I've applied the odorless mineral spirits, that's given me kind of like a a better surface to work from to start applying even more layers and making that even richer and darker. Okay, so as always here, I'm just going to do a test on black paper just to show you the colors. I'm going to use the same colors from the 48 set that I did with the layering test. So just the simple red, yellow, blue, and green. You can see there on your screen. That's exactly how they're named on the pencils. But I'll also show you, because they're in the set, the metallic colors, the gold and the silver, and of course the white on the black paper also. So all this test does is I'm just going to apply a heavy application of each color, and all this test shows is whether the colors are opaque, which means that they're nice and thick and you can't really see much of the black paper through them, or whether there's a level of translucency. A lot of people say that the Faber-Castell Polychromos are quite translucent pencils. There's a level of opacity there which a lot of people like. So this isn't a test to show whether the pencils are good or bad or anything like that. Each color pencil artist has their own preference as to whether they like thick, opaque colors or slightly more translucent colors. I guess it's a little bit like watercolors and gouache, if you want to visualize it. But you can see there so far the red and the green, really, really opaque. So there's very little of the black paper coming through. I'll zoom in now that there's a little bit of color on the paper. But as always, I'll have an image of this at the end, and you'll be able to find this image over on the Art Gear Guide as well, where you will be able to find links to these sets, and also, like I said earlier on, set sizes and prices will all be available over on the written review. So the yellow is a little bit more translucent, so you can see a little bit of the black paper showing through. And now we're on to the blue. Now this is actually quite a dark blue, so you can see there just how thick and opaque that is. But let me just zoom in so you can see the level of crumbling that was there. Move that light. Maybe not going to be able to see it. The camera's just having a bit of trouble because of the black background. But you can see there just how thick that blue is. Really, really nice. Up next, we'll go for the silver. Again, a little bit crumbly, but you can definitely see there the metallic in this pigment, and it's very opaque. Same with the gold. Actually, the gold is really nice. I'm not a big fan of metallic pencils. The Derwent metallic pencils are really nice, but other than that, it takes a while for me to get used to them. But the gold there, you can see as well, is quite metallic. And then finally, we've got the white pencil. And I would say that there's a level of translucency to the white, actually. Of all the colours in the set that you want to be quite opaque is the white, but it's not really. It's similar to the yellow. You can definitely see a little bit of black paper showing through there. It would have been nice if it was like the red, the green, and the blue, but overall, not bad. But again, you know, it's all down to personal preference, whether you prefer your pencils to have a little bit of translucency, or whether you prefer them to be nice and thick, heavy, opaque colours. So it really is very much down to personal preference. So all in all, a nice pencil. Now, don't get me wrong, these are by no means artist grade pencils. You know, there's no light fast information. Also, I do know that I forgot to mention on this video the core size and the barrel size, but that information is over on the written review. If you want to know the exact size, millimeter size of the core and the width of the barrel. But a nice pencil. I think these pencils would be fantastic for adult colouring book artists, crafters, people starting out with coloured pencils, wanting to get a feel for different types of colour pencils. They're not overly expensive, like I say. The prices will be over on the written review of the Art Gear Guide, but they're not overly expensive for these pencils. So for what you pay for them, I think that they're well worth the money. But like I said, they're not going to blow you away or anything like that. Nice rich pigments. You're not going to get lots and lots of layers with them. They react well to odorless mineral spirits. In terms of layering, 4 or 5 layers is roughly about where you're going to get with them, and then after that you're going to start experiencing a little bit of sticky tackiness. Choose your paper well with these pencils as well, so something with a little bit more tooth, not something like Bristol Smooth, or I know hot press generally has a little bit of tooth, but the Derwent hot press paper that I used is quite a smooth paper, so something like the Vellum or the Clairefontaine paint on paper that I used for the tests worked really well with these pencils. And that's really about it. If you've got any questions that you would like to ask me about these pencils, please do so by leaving a comment down below. I will definitely get back to you. I know I've been a little bit slack with regards to replying to comments lately, and I apologise wholeheartedly for that. It's just like I said at the beginning of the video, the way I am at the minute. I just needed to shake myself out of it. But you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I'll have links for those down below. By all means, go across and take a look. Also, if you want to see the review that I did of the Marco Square 24 set of pastel tones, I'll have a link for that down below as well. You'll see a link coming up at the end of the video as well, one of those box things. You can click on that and it'll take you to that review if that's what you want to see. But overall, the 24 pastel tone and this 48 set worked really, really well together. Give me a really nice balanced palette overall, which was nice. But like I say, it does mean buying both sets. The 24 set of pastels are pretty much useless as a set on its own. It's definitely a set that you need to add, not necessarily to the Marco Square set, you know, any other set of traditional pencils that you have that may be lacking some of those really softer tones, those soft pastel tones. That other 24 set from Marco would fit in really nice and would help kind of like expand and boost your palette and open up the range a little bit better for you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all the support and wonderful comments that I always receive from you guys. And I apologize wholeheartedly if I have been snappy on some of the replies that I've done. It's definitely not been intentional, but I apologize wholeheartedly. Thanks very much, guys. I'll speak to you all again very soon. Bye.